So first of all, I would like to ask a question. Do you ever feel lost, or do you feel like you do not have any meaning of your life? Yes, that is what we call an existential crisis. So during when we fall into an existential crisis, we do not find any particular meaning of our life. So in this film, the modern times, our protagonist, the Trump, works in a factory in an assembly line, and this assembly line represents the machine-like nature of this modern industrial society, where people are expected to do or perform the same thing repeatedly again and again, and our protagonist does so, and he is forced to do his task or job such a manner that he eventually becomes a machine as well. I mean to say, he even cannot hold a bowl of soup in his hand. That means he becomes automatized, he becomes machine, and this is how he is dehumanized here, and this is how he has lost his identity as human being, and thus he falls into an existential crisis. So at another point, we find that the Trump getting stuck in the food machine. He is even unable to escape from it, and that means it symbolizes the feeling of fear and the entrapment. And we find also that he repeatedly goes inside the prison or jail. What does symbolize this jail or imprisonment? So if when someone goes inside the jail, that means as soon as he loses his identity, he doesn't have any personal opinion, he cannot put his opinion, he doesn't have any right, and he cannot do whatever he likes. He has to perform the task what the authority imposes upon him. That means he loses his identity as a human being, and thus he falls into an existential crisis as well. And we also find that this Tramp repeatedly loses his jobs and becomes an unemployed. That means a point should be noted here that job and or work does not or do not always at the means of financial stability. It sometimes represent or symbolizes, or it can be a means of a personal identity. That means when someone loses his job, as soon as he loses his identity as well. So this Trump loses his job repeatedly, and this is how his identity identity as a human being loses. So, and thus he cannot find his own meaning of his life, and thus he becomes a victim of existential crisis. So to conclude, this movie is about how people can feel and feel lost and unhappy in their lives. The Trump's story shows that it's hard to find purpose of our lives and happiness in this modern industrial world. So that's all about myself. My pleasure. Thank you everyone.